Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to TradeScope. My name is Luis Garcia. I'm a part-time trader and this is my weekly recap. I'm going to go over some of the trades that I took this week and some of the trades that I may be watching in the upcoming week. Before I get started, I would like to let you know that this is not financial advice and these videos are for educational purposes only. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I only took 2 trades this week. The first trade, I actually took a snapshot of it because it was an intraday trade. It was a day trade, which I haven't been doing too much of recently, but it was a good trade, a momentum trade. It wasn't the best trade, but I made money on it. That's all that matters. So the name of the ticker I traded was called VERB, and I traded that on Monday. So as you could see, Monday morning it was up 90%. It was some silly news like the CEO released a letter to shareholders. You know how it is with these low float momentum stocks. It's kind of like any little bit of news can act like a catalyst. I think the real catalyst for this was it's a recent reverse split, right? So the company dilutes, it offers more shares, and then typically a few days following a reverse split, the stock can have a pretty volatile move, and that's exactly what happened with this one. So it happened over the course of a couple days actually. So the Friday before it was up from $5 to $10, and then on Monday it opened back up right around $10 and moved all the way to, I think that was a high of $16. I wanted to take a snapshot at the time. Sometimes I do this, I record my trades, and you know, this chart was a little crazy. The reason I think the reason I took this snapshot was because this trade didn't go as I hoped it would have went, and so I wanted to capture this and record it in my trading journal. So I got into this trade. I believe I took a few positions. So I kind of like scaled into this right around the $14 mark, I want to say. You know, I'm gonna have to check that because I'm drawing a blank on what I actually did on this trade. So let's see. Yeah, so I bought 50 at 13.44, 25 at 12.84, and then 15.07, 100 at 15.07, and 100 at 14.07. That was at 10:30 is when I finally pulled the trigger on that trade. So that was right around this time frame right here. So I guess what happened, if I remember correctly, was I saw it reject this level. This it looks like, you know, it came up, it hit $16.13 right out of the open, and then it sold off. It seemed to find this resistance right here, or excuse me, it seemed to find this support at the bottom of this channel that I drew, and then it popped up off of that support, hit resistance right around $15. You can see you got a high of $14.97. Popped up through 15 for a second or two, and then it got rejected. And so that's when I drew this channel, seeing that I had, you know, room between a low of $12 and a high of $15. Looking back at it, I probably could have waited till like this time when it retested the bottom of that channel to get into the trade, but I decided to take my first whack at it right here, right? I figured this was close enough. Maybe this would be a new support, right? There's kind of a triple bottom here on the 5 minute. So it bounced off a low of 12.75 here, then 12.85 here, and then 12.78 here. So 15 minutes of holding that support. I kind of scaled into the position, and held through this little pullback here. My stop was the bottom of this channel, so I almost got stopped out, but I didn't. And then it finally kind of rallied back up, and I watched it really close at the top of this channel, and it tried once to pop through that channel, didn't like it, and I felt, this was when I sold it right here. So I sold it up here, and I said to myself, you know, it didn't give a good clean break. I was hoping it would like get halted, right? It would give a nice clean break up back towards 16, get halted, and then maybe continue higher. So let's look at the daily to see where the potential to continue higher would have been. So it had a high of 16 on the 8th of October, right? When you factor in the new price with the split. So you see down here, it had the split on the 9th. So looks like they split, what is that? That would be not 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1. It's a big split, reverse split. Let's see, what was the split? 1 for 200. All right, right there was the reverse split. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit of dilution. So you could see why this was only a day trade. I wasn't planning on holding this thing for that long at all. This is obviously a risky stock, right? A risky trade. But the next high looking left was 1740. So I was kind of looking for that. It was a break back up towards 1740, 1750 level. I've noticed that psychological support, you know, we typically look at like the 25 cent, 50 cent, 75 cent, and $1 for like psychological resistance and support levels. But once you get above $10 with these kind of whippy, volatile ones, I noticed that you kind of get a solid support at the $12.50, $15, $17.50, $20 range. So that was kind of my goal, was, you know, $12.50. If you go back to my intraday channel, that's kind of where it was sitting. It was sitting just right around $12.50 up to like above $15, and I was really looking for that clean break above $15. Didn't get there, so I stopped out. I took my profit. I had, I think, a total of 275 shares with an average at like, I don't know, I forget what it was. It was like $14 and something cents. And then I think it was $14.21 was my average, and then I finally got out at like $15.24, right? So decent profit, $275 profit. I'm not complaining about that. Just didn't do what I thought it would do, so I decided not to let my profit turn into a loss. So that's enough about VERB. I don't want to spend too much more time on that one. One other trade I took near the end of this week was a stock that was actually on my watch list and has been on my watch list for a while. So we've been talking about this one, Nano Nuclear Energy, NNE. If you remember from my previous videos, I had this trend line channel drawn. So on the 15th, so I think Monday was the 14th, right? Yep, so Monday was the 14th. Tuesday, it breaks below this trend line support, and then the next day rallies right back up through it. And to be fair, it wasn't just a technical catalyst. I believe they had I believe they had news. Appoints former CFO of the U.S. Department of Energy as chairman of its Executive Advisory Board for Strategic Initiatives. So I think that was the big, it was 3 days ago, 1, 2, 3. So that was the day that it took a really big, it made a really big move to new highs, 21.59. I missed that move because I saw it this day and I thought, it's probably gonna continue lower, right? Then I saw it the next day. I said, holy cow, it was all the way up to like 21.59, right? And I said, what the hell happened here? Read the news, said, okay, so now that it's trading back into this channel, I might get back into it. I was still a little, it's not that big of a float, right? It can be whippy, as you can see. Like, look, in one day, it went back here. It went from an open of $16 to a high of $16.32 and then closed at $12. So there's some really big swings on the intraday in this chart. So I'm very skeptical of getting in at very high levels, but I did feel like the technicals were good, the news catalyst was good, so I got in on this day right here. I was watching it after hours on the 16th after the big move, and what I was expecting the next morning during pre-market was a correction, right? A correction back to the trend line. I didn't expect for it to be as big as it was. I was kind of thinking it would maybe hold the high of this candle as its support, right? So my order, I think, was like at $19. My order triggered, it dropped to $17. My stop was kind of right outside of this trend line support, and then it kind of rallied back up that day, and it was already Thursday. I don't like to hold trades over the weekend, so I think what I ended up doing this day was I sold, actually, this is a really good example of getting out of a trade at the right time. So let's see if we can see what it did. Yeah, let's give this the 5-minute treatment. There's a lot of stuff on this chart, so it's going to take a minute to load here. Okay, so let's see here. It was, oops. It was this day. So you can see right here, I got in right around here and dropped right to the trend line, started making its way back, and I got out right here. And the reason I got out, actually, I got out right here. Yeah, that makes more sense because I was watching it here and then I had some stuff to do. So I kind of stopped watching it. But I noticed, oh, it's double topping, so maybe it'll break through that and continue higher. My goal was $21, right? In at $19, out at $21, because I figure, it would try to make a break for that $21.59 level of the previous day. That didn't happen. It rejected that $20 level, basically $19.90. By the time I looked at it again, it was over here again, and I said, oh, this thing's triple topping. If it can't break through $19.90, then it's going to pull back, and that's exactly what it did. So I ended up selling my entire position, 200 shares for, I think, 70 cents profit. So I made $140. It wasn't bad. But again, didn't do what I wanted it to do, and then look what happened. Next day, rallies up to almost $23, right? So could I have held it? Yeah, but that triple top, it seemed ominous at the time. So it was Thursday. I don't like to hold trades over the weekend. Definitely don't like to watch profits turn into losses. So I felt like the proper thing to do that day was to manage my risk and get out of the trade, right? So that's our number one job as traders, is to manage our risk. Number two is to seek out volatility. So I think these two trades were really good examples of those two of those two things. Who knows? It may continue back, right? It's still got room all the way. Still on my watch list. I screwed up this channel. Let me see if I can move it back to where it's supposed to be. There. Come on. Nope, not that. Don't need that. There we go. Okay. There we go. So, it rejected the $23 spot. Maybe it'll pull back again, at this at this trend line, and if it does, that's where I'll be watching for a possible entry. So that would be right around. Let's do the crosshair tool real quick. Crosshair, cross line. So it'd be right here. So I'd be looking to get in around $18, right? Pulls back to $18, I might get back in it. If it could hold that trend line support would obviously be my stop loss. And then my profit target might be, somewhere up here in the $27 above $25 range, and it's got the room, right? Like it's got it took a tumble back here looking left, but it's got room up to that $30 level really. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking at next week. Let's move on to another stock I wanted to talk about that's on my watch list. Kind of been watching this for the past few years, but it just started to grab my attention last week when it broke $5. You can kind of see, let's use the continuous, seemed to do good with blue. So it kind of got over this line in the sand right here, right? And so that's kind of what I'm watching. You know, I was going to take it right above 5. I thought was even a good spot to take this trade, but I missed that entry. You know, it kind of, let's see, on Monday was it? Yeah, so here it is on Monday. It makes a pretty big run for this spot, and then it kind of has been fighting for that spot. So if it could break back through that, you know, maybe break back through 560, it's got a little bit of room up to $6, 650. So those are kind of my possible profit targets if I end up getting into this, right? I want to really see how it holds this level though. But you see some momentum's coming in. It's a little overbought at the moment, so I expect some more fighting going on at this price level, at the 550 price level. Volume's staying pretty consistent, right? It's got earnings coming up. The news, I don't really know what's going on with the news. I just noticed it from a technical perspective, but let's see. SoundHound AI's Amelia wins Excellent Advanced Technology 2024 Award for Retail Banking Solutions. So that's really the only news that's been out in the past 2 weeks. SoundHound AI brings voice assistant with generative AI to Lancia vehicles across Europe. So I guess that's some more news from a couple days ago. I don't know. We'll see what this thing does. I haven't historically had amazing returns with trades that I've taken on this one, but it's definitely on my watch list. I've done okay on it, so I'll be watching it. And the last thing I want to talk about today is Plug. So Plug, as you guys know, I've been watching it for a while. It's got this, I keep talking about it. It's got this inverse head and shoulders pattern going on, and it just won't break out of that. But it looks like it just might be soon. So, what happened? Well, did it have news? Maybe. Underperforms, outperforms. Gets a big investor a week ago. That's really the only news. It's got earnings coming up. It's an energy play, right? Electric. But what I'm really looking at it for is a technical breakout, right? Right above 230. That's really where I want to get into this thing. If it could make a clean break above 330, then I'm watching it to fill this gap over here, right? That's the idea. So that's maybe up $2.75, $3, something like that. $3 mark, if that's possible. So we'll see. Momentum still seems good. The RSI is hanging in there pretty good. Volume's coming in, so we'll see. Made a big move on Friday. Finished up 10% for the day. So that's kind of what I'll be watching into the next week. And those are some of the trades that I made this week. So I thank you guys for listening. Let me know what you guys think about my trades that I've made, what looks good on my watch list, maybe some of the things you're watching. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next week.